Hi everyone, it's Steph and welcome to another video. Today we are looking at raw alpaca that I purchased from lovely Leah, and these Wakaya alpacas live in Victoria. This is a kilo of Hope's fibre. She's a beautiful chocolate brown. This is a kilo of Phoenix's fibre, beautiful fawn colour, but they are projects for another day. Today we are going to look at Axel's fibre, a beautiful deep black. Let's process this fibre today into yarn and let's get started. First up, I've got a box that I'm just covering in a black plastic bag, and we're just going to pick through the fleece and try and pick out any vegetable matter and pull out any fibre that is not going to be good for spinning, so shortcuts and second cuts. Leah has had to wrap these really well to get them in the post to me, so it's taking a little bit to get it undone. But I finally got this bag undone, and now it's time to start picking through and opening up the fleece. The staple length seems to be around 6 inches, which is absolutely perfect. So to pick the fleece, we're opening it up over the plastic bag. This helps to release and loosen any dirt that's in the fibre. Alpacas love to roll in dust and dirt. They don't have lanolin like sheep do, so some of the dirt can easily just fall out with picking. With sheep's wool, a lot of the dirt and the vegetable matter sticks to the fleece with a greasy coating called lanolin. But luckily, alpacas don't have this, so it's just a matter of opening up the fibre, picking out anything that we don't want. Once I have just got a section picked through and I've opened up the fibre and picked out any bits and pieces, I pop it straight into a wash bag. Here is a shortcut, so this is like a second cut or a small cut, and we don't want those because we can't spin them. The staple length isn't long enough. This breed of alpaca is called Wakaya, and it has a small crimp in the fibre, which is perfect for spinning because it holds the yarn together just that little bit better. Another breed you might come across is Suri, and their fleece is perfectly smooth, which can make it a little bit tricky to spin, and it's harder for the yarn to stick together. Mind you, Suri is ridiculously soft and silky, so Suri is a great one to add for a blend. So here's my last bit of fleece that I'm picking out here. You can see how much dust and dirt has just fallen out of the fibre. You can absolutely spin alpaca straight from the lock. However, I would advise you to put something over your lap because all of this is going to go in your lap and you will feel the grit in your hands, which is to me really yucky. I also don't like the feel of dirty fibre in my fingers, but I guess that's just a personal choice. Here you can see how much dirt has fallen out from Axel's fleece just from picking. So now I can just grab this bag, wrap it all up from the box and pop that straight in the bin. Now it's time to wash. When washing fleece, I use these Delicates wash bags, which are perfect, which I fill to around about 1/2 to 3/4 for each bag. This allows the water to do its job and wash the fleece, but also minimises matting and tangling. To wash, I'm using warm to hot water. You don't need to use super hot water for alpaca like you do for wool, so make the water warm to hot but still at a good temperature that you can comfortably put your hand into the water without it being too hot. I'm just using dishwashing liquid to wash the fleece in, And because I'm washing 1 kilo of fleece today, I'm washing these in batches. So just putting a heap of bags in at a time. I gently press the bags in and give them a little squeeze to squeeze out any air bubbles. And now I'm just going to leave them to soak for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I give the bags a squeeze and then put them to one side. And then I'm going to drain all of this filthy water out and then rinse. You can see how filthy the water actually is, and this is why I always wash alpaca no matter what, because I just can't stand the thought of spinning with this dirty fibre. Once I've squeezed out all of the bags, I'm going to rinse until the water is relatively clear. This fleece wasn't actually too bad, so I did 1 wash and 2 rinses for all of the bags, and I did 2 batches. Once all of the bags in both batches was washed and rinsed, I put them all together in my washing machine and just did a spin cycle. This really helps to speed up the drying process by spinning a lot of the water out before drying. I then pull the fibre out of the bags and just gently tease it apart and then place it on towels on my dining room table. This is what 1 kilo of alpaca fibre looks like. I left it here overnight, and in the morning it was probably 3/4 dry. So then I got 2 huge pillow wash bags and divided up the fibre to about 500 grams in each bag, again just gently teasing it apart. I then popped it out in the sun for the last part of the drying process. I used to lay out the fleece and fibre on racks just with netting underneath to help the drying process, and I used to pop that outside and in the sun, but I learned the hard way one day not to do that. Where I live, we have a lot of birds, and one particular time I remember popping a beautiful English Leicester fleece out on all the racks and then going down to do some grocery shopping. And when I came back, I found my fleece all over the yard, covered in bird poo, bits missing, and it was just so upsetting. So now I always use these big pillow wash bags if I put fleece and fibre outside to dry. Now that it's all dry, it's time to card up all of this beautiful alpaca fibre into delicious bats. I'm going to blend this with a little bit of merino, so the ratio will be 75 to 25. So in a 100 gram bat, 75% alpaca, 25% merino. I have the wide carder from Ashford, which makes a 100 gram bat. So this makes things really easy to pull out 23 to 25 grams of merino, so I can blend it with the alpaca. Blending it will give the yarn a little bit more holding power and a little bit more structure, so that over time the weaving doesn't stretch and fall. Also, this will change the colour from a deep black to more of a charcoal black with a little bit of tweedy white in there as well. Once the carder was full of fibre, I then pulled the bat off and then ran the bat through the carder again. This not only blends the merino and the alpaca just a little bit more, but also aligns the fibres more and makes spinning a lot more easier. On the second pass through the carder, I just did a little bit of extra blending by pulling both ends of the staple length together a couple of times before putting them through the carder. This not only helps to align the fibres, but also helps with the blending process, so I only have to put the delicate alpaca fibre through the carder twice. I did this for 500 grams, making 5 bats, because I think this should be sufficient for the project that I have in mind. That leaves another 500 grams of washed fibre for another project down the track. Now I have this beautiful basket of delicious bats ready to spin, and spinning is my favourite part. I wish you could feel how beautiful and soft this fibre feels. To spin the fibre, I divide the bats in half and then just tear off one section at a time. Once I've got that torn section off, I can then draft. So I like to draft carded fibres because it actually helps to align the fibre, and it makes spinning easier and it makes the yarn a lot softer. So I'm going for a worsted spun yarn using the short forward draw method. This aligns the fibres, making it less itchy and makes the yarn a lot softer and smoother. It's less loftier than a woolen spun yarn, but it does make a denser yarn, which is what I want for this project. I'm spinning this using my e-spinner from Ashford. I love the electric spinning wheels. It just makes the spinning process so much easier. I love to relax with my feet up at the end of a work day and just spin whilst watching telly, which is what I can do with the e-spinner, and it just makes for a really relaxing, enjoyable spin. Once half the bat has been spun into fine singles, I then take the bobbin off and grab the next bobbin, and then we repeat the process, so drafting and spinning until all of that has been spun. Then it's time for plying. Now that both half of the bats have been spun into fine singles, it's time to ply them together. So I'm aiming for a 2-ply yarn, and I'm aiming for a DK weight. In Australia we would call it a 4-ply weight, even though it's a 2-ply yarn, and that's what I'm aiming for with the plying. This is what the yarn is looking like plied, and I'm really pleased. It's super silky and soft, not at all itchy, and it looks like it's going to be the right width or the right weight yarn that I want. Now that the yarn is plied and finished, I can then wind them into skeins and then give them a wet finish ready for weaving. In addition to the alpaca for this next project, I'm also using this merino tencel silk blend in really pretty greens and blues, super soft as well. So I'm going to spin those up. Don't worry, I'm not going to take you through that. But I think that the colour will look really nice. After spinning, the colour came out a lot more pastel than I thought it would, but still very pretty and will still be perfect for what I have in mind. So up against the alpaca, you can see that this pale pastel green goes beautifully with the charcoal. To finish the yarn, I'm washing both the alpaca and also the merino silk tencel in a little bit of wool mix. That will nourish the yarn and also wet set it so that it's all pre-shrunk and ready to go for my project. And here we are. So I've got 5 beautiful, soft, fluffy alpaca skeins ready for my project. In addition to these, I'm also using the merino tencel silk blend. But for the size of the project, I'm also going to be using some of the yarns that I purchased at the Bendigo Wool and Sheep Show. So I've got these 3 skeins here. I've got a pale grey, a cream white, and also a zebra. All 3 of those are from Great Ocean Road and are either merino or merino alpaca. Stay tuned next week as I take you through how to do a double width weave, and we're going to make a giant blanket shawl.